Matt Edwards, John Glenn Football is joining us now with Storied Rival Sports Media. Always appreciate your time, Coach, and I'm glad that you're having a great summer so far. And I do want to start with, I guess, your reaction just to the tragic news that a couple weeks ago, with Tri Valley and the Dresden community. Josh Wright, took over as the new head coach as Cam West took the principal position at Tri Valley, and he suddenly and unexpectedly passed away. And I know that news is really shaken up that team, that community, and I know the MVL coaching. It's obviously it's great coaches, and you guys are competitive, but I feel like you guys are such a tight knit group as well. It's beyond football. I feel like a lot of you guys are really good friends outside of football, and so I was just curious to kind of get your reaction to that news and maybe how it affected you, and obviously how it affects the MVL landscape and things, because he's just been such a tremendous coach in the MVL for such a long time.
Yeah, obviously, first and foremost, thoughts and prayers are with Coach's family and friends, and all the people that he had the opportunity to be around. When I got the message or the text in the morning, it was shocking. Obviously, I knew he's only about 50 years old, and somebody I'd known for the last decade or so since I came to the NBL, and he was somebody that had a tremendous amount of respect, and for him to be selected the next coach at Tri Valley, after Coach West, it says a lot about him and their view on him and his leadership and ability to continue that program. So, obviously a great man, a great individual who touched a lot of lives. And I guess with anything, I'm 5 years younger than him, but it's just that constant reminder that each day is we're lucky to have it, and how fortunate we are to be in the profession we are, to go to work with kids every single day. And um, it's a tragic loss for all of us in this coaching profession and the communities in which Coach Wright played a role in.
Yeah, and I know Cam was the head coach in the recent All-Star Game that we just had, the Muskingum-Licking All-Star Game, and so Josh got to be a part of the staff on that, which I'm sure was pretty special to him. And you had a handful of players on the roster for Muskingum-Licking. We'll kind of shift to something a little bit more positive. I had Andrew Glaub, Lincoln Gilcher, Clay Mathers, and Tanner Whiteman were on the roster in that game, and Andrew had a really good showing defensively. I think he had an interception, could have been a candidate for MVP near the end of that game. And just your thoughts on their careers. Obviously, they played great football for you for 4 years, and they finished their career on a high note.
Yeah, anytime you get to play one more high school football game, it's special. We talk about the limited opportunities we get to do this, and those four guys had the opportunity to play one more game, and they represented our program and our community really well. All four of them played really well on the field if you watch what they did, and those were four guys who played a really important role in our program for 4 years. Clay and Gilcher had been 4-year starters at some point. Both of them guys played for us as freshmen. As long ago as that was, but and then Globby and Tanner played a lot, sophomores through their senior year, and so certainly four guys that we're going to miss on the field next year. But I couldn't think of four better guys to represent our program one last time, and the MVL getting another solid win.
Yeah, and your case, like it's really unique because last year I think you had 23 seniors on the squad last year, and four of which were starting linemen. And I know your team the success of your team is predicated on being strong up front and in the trenches. I mean, how do you plan to reset when you lose that much experience, not only up front but just having 23 seniors in total in your locker room?
Yeah, honestly, this will be new to us a little bit. This is probably the most we've been hurt by graduation in terms of numbers and the amount of guys that were on the field. And we're going to have 7 seniors this year compared to 23 last year. Our roster is going to be probably in the mid 40s, which is the smallest roster we've had since I've gotten here for sure. And it's certainly has its question marks and some things that we need to get addressed here throughout the course of July and August, but. Again, it's an opportunity to play football, and our guys are excited about it. And as coaches, we know we have to do things a little bit differently. We've been very fortunate the last couple of years to do a lot of platooning and not having guys play both ways. And we're just not going to have that luxury this year. And then we knew that going in, and missing graduating 4 seniors up front on the offensive line and some guys in the secondary. We've had to change some things to fit the kids that we do have. So. That's what coaching's all about, though. Everybody gets hurt by graduation. We're only guaranteed 4 years with these guys, and no one in the state of Ohio has probably everybody coming back from last year. So, they're all dealing with the same issues we are, and we're going to find some answers.
So what's the offseason been like then as far as working in some of these new kids, these younger kids, and just working with the youth that you have, and I guess kind of building out what the plan is for the next 4 to 6 weeks as you get ready for week 1? Because I mean it's sneaking up on us pretty fast. It seems so far away yet so close at the same time.
Yeah, actually yesterday I was having a conversation with a veteran coach, and I told him I felt like this year we're really getting the opportunity to coach again. And what I mean, and obviously we coach every single year, but what I mean by that is when you have a veteran group, you're coaching every single day, but the things you're coaching with a veteran group are steps 4, 5, and 6 down the road. When you have a young group that you're trying to get inundated with your offenses and your defense, I just feel like you're coaching at that base level again. And there's something fun about that. There's something refreshing about that. There's something reinvented, that gets you excited about doing that each and every day because these young kids are sponges. That they want to learn. They want to know what's going on. And I've just felt like all summer long, it's given us coaches the opportunity to really be coaches again at that base level, with these young kids. So, yeah, it's been a different challenge. It's been, obviously different than having 23 seniors who, have been in your program for a bunch of years. But it's been also rewarding in the fact that I felt like on a daily basis, we just got to coach.
Yeah, when you have that many seniors in your case, like last year, do they almost feel like they're extensions of the coaching staff in a way where they're coaches on the field? And I mean, like you said, you're still coaching every day, but maybe you're letting those leaders lead the others around you as well, and it's a little bit more cohesive in that way, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, certainly when you have guys with experience, they can speak for you because they're the ones out there in the trenches. They're the ones out there in the secondary or in the linebacking core, whatever else. And, what when you do things, we're the same offense and defense we've been forever. And so what's really neat is when or when you see them saying the exact same things that you were going to say. During a timeout or during a practice, it almost becomes a running joke. Like you hear one of those kids almost mocking, like, this is exactly what Coach Edwards would say about that play or this drill or whatever else. And so they know what's coming. They've been through it. They've heard those same things for 3 or 4 years. And now they're the ones out there saying those things. So it just tells you, experience is valuable. There's no substitute for seniors. And anytime you lose a group of seniors, it's challenging, and when you lose 23, it's definitely challenging. But it's also exciting in the fact that you bring in a bunch of new faces, and we get to line up and play.
Do you have many 7-on-7s and scrimmages coming up over the next handful of weeks here?
No, and again, I was pretty intentional about that. We threw last week one time down at Muskingum. They had a team that came in and was there for team camp, so we threw against those guys. But as of now, that's the only one we have scheduled. And our mindset, I guess, going into this summer was we really wanted to focus on us, and we wanted to focus on teaching, and we wanted to focus on coaching. And there's value in those competitive settings, but I think once you put another team across from you at this point in the summer, it becomes competition. And even though there's value in that, we just felt like with our young group in certain places, that we would benefit more from just continuing to be able to teach on a daily basis. And so we really limited the amount of those competitive situations we're going to put our kids in, at least right now. And we'll see how it works out. But again, we've really focused on us, and we're still doing 7-on-7, and we're still out throwing and running routes and playing defense and that stuff. But it's been against our guys, and really coaches having the opportunity to slow things down and coach rather than worrying about the competitive nature of the 7-on-7.
Right, and in a 7-on-7, you don't really get the opportunity to stop and have those teaching or coaching moments. So
and again, those competitive situations are valuable,
Mhm.
but the coaching that occurs in those situations is either on the fly or it's after the fact. You watch film or you talk to them afterwards. Whereas, with what we're doing, like you said, we can stop the play, we can line it up again, we can run the route concept, or we can do whatever we're doing. We can talk them through it, and there's a lot of value in that when your kids are still trying to learn your offense and defense. And so that's certainly not something that's going to happen when you go to those more competitive situations.
I know coaches are kind of mixed on it, but generally speaking, do you like the concept of a 7-on-7? Forget I guess the competition and the coaching aspect, but as far as just having no offensive line or defensive line. It's 7 guys. It's really about timing for your quarterbacks and receivers and things. Do you like that aspect of it? But I know you're a team too that's very predicated on just strong in the trenches, offensive and defensive line play. I mean, what's your view on the 7-on-7s from that aspect?
Again, it usually depends on who you're throwing against. If teams play a 7-on-7 and they run their offense and their defense and they do things that they would normally do on a Friday night compared to just trying to go out and play 7-on-7, it usually determines how much I enjoy them. And so we really focused on that last week when we went down and, the quarterback was told the ball is going to be gone in 3 seconds. Like you're getting sacked in 3 seconds. You hold it for 4 and 5. Maybe somebody's open. Maybe you throw a ball downfield 20 yards. But on a Friday night, that's not a guarantee. And so I'm sacking you at 3 seconds. The ball's gone. And then you turn around and you watch, one more on defense, and you see their quarterback holding the ball for 5, 6 seconds, running double moves and triple moves, and guys wide open. And you're looking at it going, if our defensive line's not there by the time that ball's thrown, we're firing everybody. So again, it just depends on how you view it as a coach. We run our stuff. I know we play our base defense in a 7-on-7. We run our offense in a 7-on-7. We don't do anything special. So there's value in it because they're learning concepts and they're learning coverages and that kind of stuff. And if coaches handle it that way, I think there is some value. Don't ask our linebacker coach what he thinks about it because I know defensive guys tend to not like it because we are
Sure.
the pressure and being able to send your defensive line and different things. And but again, anytime you can go out and compete, if you do it the right way, you're going to find some value. It's just a matter of how you handle it.
Yeah. Now I know you lost. We talked about Lincoln Gilcher. Obviously, you lose him to graduation, but you still have Reese returning in the backfield, who was really dynamic. He's been dynamic the last couple of years. And then I know Owen. He split some time at quarterback last year with Jake Johnson. Jake graduates. So is the plan for him to be the week 1 starter? Is he slated to be the guy that's going to take the majority of the snaps this year?
Yeah, we have 7 seniors who all end up playing a lot for us last year, and we're gonna lean heavily on them this year. Offensively with Owen back at quarterback, who obviously has 10 games of experience under his belt, and Reese, who's a dynamic playmaker, who's going to be the focal point this year. Last year he was kind of he was the change up back to what Gilch did for us, but he's going to be the focal point this year, and Jimmy Boyd will be a second-year starter on the offensive line, so it's nice to have a senior back who was part of that group last year. So those 3 kids are going to see a huge amount of responsibility. And Ryder Pennington, who started at receiver for us last year. So, even though we only have 7 seniors, every one of them is going to play a tremendous amount of football. And so I look at them as 14 seniors, to be honest with you, because offensively and defensively and special teams
Sure.
on the field, which we haven't really done much lately. We've really been platooning a lot. But this year they're going to be playing on both sides. So even though small in number, they're going to be major contributors on both sides of the ball. So there's still some experience there.
And I know another guy you lost, and he was really a cool story. Was Will Nicolozakes. He was a soccer player and a football player, and just kind of using his leg, his double duty pretty much all fall last year. I mean, how special was he? And I guess how do you replace someone with as good of a leg as he had? Because he was just about as good as anybody in the area.
Yeah, I mean, if that was a kid who wanted to become a kicker, he could have probably been a scholarship kid. Now, obviously, soccer was his first love, and we knew that. But yeah, he was special. So we followed the same blueprint. We went to the soccer team, and
Yeah.
we found another kid that he's going to be a sophomore for us, and we're going to see if he can handle the kicking duties. But Will over the course of his 2 years for us made some pretty important kicks, and he was just a kid who was so calm and collective, but yet competitive that. When he stepped on the field, you knew what you were going to get out of him. Nothing really rattled him, and people forget about that phase of the game. But trust me, that's one of the things that's really been a concern for us over the last couple of weeks as we've started to look at camp. Is like, man, we didn't have to worry about that last year. We didn't worry about that last year. And this year we got to find some guys to replace him. But like I said, we just followed the blueprint. We've had some good luck with going to the soccer team, and so that's exactly what we did. We went to the soccer team.
Yeah, I love that you went back to them. I wonder, I don't know how often other schools, do that. They'll go to their soccer team and try to recruit kids to be there to play kicker or anything like that. But it almost seems like it's common sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have somebody on your team that you feel like you can that can do the job, then going to the soccer team is just it's worked for us. Just since I took over, I think Will was the fifth soccer player that we've had. We've had great luck. Angela Kumler a couple years ago, and then Will, obviously. And it's just a natural transition if they can kick a soccer ball, because a lot of these kids are soccer style kickers when they kick PATs or whatever it may be. Then they can kick the football. And the thing that people didn't see about Will is he really worked at it too. A lot
Hmm.
on his own. He had his own kicking bag. He'd go out to the field, and he really put in some time to become a good kicker, not just a soccer player who kicks. And we've preached that to the new guy that we got, and we'll see what we get.
Now, kind of away from football now, I guess for a second. Like I know you're a baseball guy, and MLB All Star Weekend was just this past weekend. I mean, did you watch any of it? Are you still watching any baseball?
Yeah, a little bit. I am a baseball guy. Both my kids, part of the program, and they play baseball. And I coached eighth grade baseball this past year, which was fun again to be back in the dugout a little bit. But in terms of free time, I'll check some stats. I'll look at some videos. I did not watch the home run derby last night at all, but
That's fair. I didn't either.
saw some highlights. Every morning I'll check on Colt just to see
Sure.
what his box score looks like from the night before. So yeah, I mean I still keep an eye on it. But once we get to June or July, the focus really does shift to the football side of things, and baseball. It's kind of it's a social media. I'll check some things and box scores, but to sit down and watch a game, I don't know the last time I did that.
That's fair. Do you still keep in contact with Colt? Have you talked to him much recently since he's
Oh,
taken off?
absolutely. I
Hmm.
text him all the time, and he's a busy guy though. So normally
Sure.
it's a little while before he gets back to me, but just a tremendous kid and man now, I guess, and starting to play really well right now, heating up a little bit. I think he's on break right now. He might actually be back in town. But yeah, he's someone I'll reach out to every couple times a week just after a box score and check in on him. So.
That's awesome. Well, Coach, I appreciate you hopping on for 15, 20 minutes, man, talking some football and some baseball, I guess, for a few minutes. And it's always great to catch up with you. I'm excited for the Muskies this year, a young football team that should be really exciting. And I appreciate it as always, man.
Yeah, Will, really appreciate what you guys do for us. Storied Rivals continues to, just kind of set the standard for this type of coverage, and you guys do a tremendous job, and we're really fortunate that we get the opportunity to do this every single year.
No, I appreciate it, man.